Welcome, folks. My name's Corey, and welcome to the AA County Farmland and Garden Center. I appreciate everyone coming out. If you've been here before, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to talk very fast, and I'm going to talk with these, all right? So, there are two things I need you to leave with here tonight. Even though we're going to talk about weeds and a million other things that you bring up, two things you have to walk out of here with. pH is king, all right? pH is critical to growing anything that you're growing, whether you're growing a lawn, vegetable garden, trees, shrubs, flowers. pH rules the world. Your body needs proper pH. Your drinking water needs proper pH. Your pool, hot tub, everything is centered around pH. So all day long when folks come in and they got to have a $160 bag of grass seed they heard on the radio, they buy it. They get to the $50 bag purple fertilizer, they buy it. They get to that $4 lime, and they walk out. Can't be important, it's only $4. That is the thing that makes the world go round. So, I can't stress it enough. Number one, pH is king. Liming on a regular basis in this county with our acidic soils, our acid rain, our coastal plain, all that, that's going to make the difference. And you'll see the difference once you get your pH correct. That's why we're so big with the soil testing. It won't matter how expensive or how good that fertilizer is. If your pH is low, you could be losing 70% of the nutritional value of your fertilizer if your pH is incorrect. 99% of the problems that walk through that front door are pH related. You know, I ask people, did you lime? Yeah, I put a weed and feed down 2 weeks ago. That's not the question, that's not the answer. It's that lime. Get in the habit of liming. University of Maryland recommends fertilizing 4 times a year. St. Patty's Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Halloween. I always say if you can't do 4, do 3. You can't do 3, do 2. But lime religiously, okay? Question comes in, can I lime too much? I chuckle a little bit by saying it's like saying you can make too much money. I don't even think that's possible, but in this county, you could lime too much, but it's a very large rarity. Number 2 that I want to stress tonight, read the label. Read the label, okay? Chemicals change all the time. Regulations change all the time. You'll see chemicals can change by weather. You may have used the product forever and a day, welcome, but you will not get the same results. Read that label. So many people come in, and I can tell you this as a fact right now, with the warm winter we've had, the early spring, oh, I put my weed and feed out. You did? Well, you just wasted that money because your weed and feeds need warmer weather to activate. You'll get the results of your fertilizer, you're not going to get the weed killing. Most weed killers are activated by the sun. There are a few that are not. But if you don't want to waste money and don't want to waste your time, and I see so much frustration because people do not read the label. Read the label, it's critical. Okay, tonight, as usual, we're going to have a ton of information. Once again, I want you to stop. If you have a question, for the sake of the camera, we're going to repeat the question so the videos don't turn out like I'm talking to myself. And feel free to ask any question. And I promise you, I've been doing this almost 30 years now, there are no dumb questions, okay? Because if you don't know the answer and I can't help you, that's the worst part right there, okay? There are no dumb questions. Don't be shy. We're all one big group, and you'll see I love having fun. So, all right, we're going to start off with my theory for having an early seminar. Well, as far as I can remember, for my 58 years of living in Maryland, it's normally ice cold and brutal. So I said, well, let's get an early seminar so we'll get a jump on the weeds. Well, I guess Mother Nature heard me say this prayer at night, and she put out 55 and 60 degree weather, and the weeds beat us to the punch. Okay, Mother Nature's design is that when the humans are done with the earth, the weeds will inherit the earth. People constantly tell me, why do I have so many weeds? Well, weeds will grow anywhere, number one. Weeds can grow when it's cold. Weeds can grow when it's hot and dry. And weeds can grow when you get your lawn or your garden perfect, because it's like a petri dish. You're welcoming everything. You want the wanted ones, but the unwanted ones show up as well. So typically tonight was designed to do weed prevention and crabgrass prevention. We're going to go over those, but we're also going to have to switch gears now that the weeds have caught up with our time clock. So, number one, keep in mind, we're going after crabgrass. Typically, St. Patty's Day, or when the forsythia blooms, that's that yellow whip, that is the sign that the ground temperatures are warm enough. On a normal year, I would be saying in 2 weeks from now, the forsythia will bloom. Well, lo and behold, 2 weeks ago, the forsythia has bloomed. An update from the University of Maryland states that because of the warm winter, you're more than likely going to have to add a second application of crabgrass preventer. We're going to go over all the crabgrass preventers here tonight. So keep in mind, there's a major difference between crabgrass and wiregrass, and we'll get into that a little later. Crabgrass is easy to spot on a typical year. It lays flat like a crab, and its leaves look like crab claws. It's not the one that shoots that super long runner. That's the wiregrass. We'll get into that later. You should be able to see your crabgrass out there. You'll have a beautiful lawn, and you'll see some, spots of what looks dead and ugly and brownish. That's typically your crabgrass. Keep in mind, crabgrass preventers, we are trying to sterilize the seed. Okay, the seed that was laid out there last fall and summer, we're trying to suffocate that seed, create a barrier that prevents other seeds, your neighbor's seeds, blowing into your yard and suffocate the seeds that are underneath. So typically I like to start tonight with the use of corn gluten. Now that's the sticky parts of corn, 100% organic. It does contain a little bit of nitrogen, so you get the double effect of, it's a 900. And what's neat about this is completely kid safe and pet safe. Okay, can be used in gardens, vegetable gardens, flower beds, and lawns. The key to this product is to spread it out the way it's designed to be spread. This bag right here would do about half the size of the store. It needs to be watered in. Why? Because it's corn. So the blackbirds and every bird in the neighborhood will come down and eat it for you if you don't water it in. We're trying to create that suffocation barrier. Completely safe, organic, easy to use. Not overly inexpensive, okay? It's a little pricey, okay? It's come a long way from where it used to be, but still a little bit on the expensive side, but completely safe. Your other products are a true crabgrass preventer, okay? A lot of crabgrass preventers can be used, you want to make sure you read the label, they can be used in the lawn, and they can be used in the flower beds as well. This particular one can be used both in the flower beds and the lawn. This one contains no fertilizer, so you can have them with fertilizer or without fertilizer. The most popular crabgrass preventer currently is Dimension. The Dimension is a chemical that's very effective in the prevention of crabgrass seeds. It's also a theory that when you use it years consecutively, that you'll end up using less at the end of year 3. It's very popular. It can come with fertilizer or without fertilizer. Now, let's just say, well, if you had a beautiful lawn, you may not be here tonight, but if you were 80% happy with your lawn and you had keep in mind, crabgrass preventers will stop you from seeding, okay? There's only one on the market currently. That is the Tupper Sand, this guy right here, which will allow you to seed your new grass seed, fertilize, and prevent crabgrass. Okay, it's called Tupper Sand, made by Greenview. There are some other ones out there. This is the most popular. Once again, with the convenience comes a price. This bag runs roughly about $60 a bag, but doing there about the size of the store. If you had the perfect lawn and you wanted to keep it that way, You say, Corey, I have no intentions of seeding this spring. I've worked very hard to get the lawn and I want to keep it that way. Then there are products like this from Bayer that this will prevent your broadleaves and also crabgrass. You spray this on, it creates a barrier, and there should be no further weeds this spring. Keep in mind, crabgrass and broadleaf. A broadleaf is anything that blooms. So the little purple-headed guy out there, the little whiteheads, the dandelions, the clover, the henbit that's the purple one. There's 250 or more broadleaf out there. We're talking about crabgrass prevention currently. Now, if you say, I don't have time to do all this, I want it as simple as possible, I have no desires to seed in spring, then the Greenview puts out a product that we call Bread and Silver One and Done. This is going to prevent crabgrass, feed you all the way into summer, and kill your broadleaf. That means your dandelion and your clover. It's going to naturally, well, not naturally, but very slowly kill off your broadleaf as well. You cannot seed with this product unless you get 2 cuts of your grass in, which will put you a little bit on the late side. It's a wonderful product. It's one of our most popular products if you're happy with your lawn and you're not going to seed in spring. Now, most of your fescues, that's your cool season grasses, love to be seeded when it's cold. Okay, so most people seed them in September. You would have September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. You'd have 8 to 9 months of growth before it got hot. Why people don't like to seed in the springtime is the fact that if you started seeding in February, you'd have February, March, April, May, June. You'd only have 4 to 5 months before the heat came on. Fescues like cool weather. Even though they're not growing on the top, that root is growing and thriving. And that's what makes the pH and your liming so important, that when you lime properly and your pH is correct, that root will continue to grow and get deeper and deeper. So when the rain stops in July and August, your fescues go to sleep. They go dormant. They look brown, you step on them, they're crunchy, you think they're never coming back. That root is healthy. When you don't lime properly, that root grows sideways. And when the heat comes on, the grass burns up. And everybody wants to blame it on the grass seed, but it was really the preparation of the lawn, of the soil itself. So on that note, getting back to the crabgrass, you can buy crabgrass preventers without fertilizer. So some people want to use a particular brand of fertilizer. Some people may want to use organic fertilizers, but go with a man-made crabgrass preventer. There are combinations that will fit whatever configuration you want to use. Just to make sure we're clear on fertilization, your numbers are simple. Just remember this rhyme of up, down, and all around. The first one drives it up. So in springtime, if you want a nice green up, you're going to see a large first number. That's your nitrogen. Up. It'll probably be a 24 to a 29 or so, even as high as 30 or more. Number 2, your phosphorus, you don't see in lawn fertilizers anymore, because back in October of 2011, the middle number was banned from lawn fertilizers unless they were slow release or had on the label lawn starter. Most people are not aware of the fertilizer law. 10-10-10 has not been outlawed. It has been outlawed for the use in lawns, and I have some handouts here if anybody wants to read up on that. Keep in mind, the theory behind that was that there was so much phosphorus, so much middle number used, that was polluting the bay. They have had samples taken from different places, and there's enough phosphorus, man-made phosphorus, in the soil samples to last 17 years. So that's why that middle number has been banned. The third number is potash or potassium. That is for your disease resistant and vigor. So that holds off, fungus and durability. It all helps with bringing that all together. Now, in terms of killing crabgrass, you say, well, I got busy or it rained too much. And keep in mind, I mentioned that with the year that we're having, more than likely you'll have to reapply your crabgrass preventers later in the season, okay? That can be as early as the middle of April or as late as June. The thing about Dimension, the product Dimension, it is one of the few products that you can apply 4 weeks later than most crabgrass preventers. I know everyone's familiar with a term called halts, but halts doesn't have the effect that Dimension does. That is my opinion, and I feel rather firm about it. There have been other old school crabgrass preventers such as Team and Bayland. You don't see them very often. There are some radio shows and universities that still recommend Barricade. Barricade is rather expensive and sometimes misused, but still a good product. So once again, if you let your crabgrass go by you, then you have to kill crabgrass when it's tender. If you wait till it gets fat and ugly, you're not going to kill it. It just will not die. It's very, very tough to kill. I had a sample tonight, and someone conveniently threw it away for me, but this gentleman up front saved the day by bringing in a sample that he wanted to identify. This is, as far as I can tell, the closest thing to the devil. This is not crabgrass. This is wiregrass. This is wild Bermuda. And all day long, people say, I got crabgrass, Corey. You sold me that Dimension. It didn't work. It's not going to work against this. All right. One thing that's very critical is that, and people mistake them all the time, and I understand, even professionals run up against it and don't understand it. If you take a piece of crabgrass and you put it in your fingers and it rolls like this pen, be happy. Jump up and down because you're going to have an easier time controlling it. If it rolls like the top of this pen with a flat side on it, just as this miracle sample will do, it rolls, but it's flat. And I'll pass this around. This is wiregrass. This is wild Bermuda. Yes, sir. I would love to have it. We're bringing up he's got a whole satchel full. I love it. He has a whole satchel full of samples. I love it. We'll play Stump the DJ, see which one I can't guess. Okay, so I'm going to pass this wild Bermuda around, wiregrass. You're going to see that every 2 inches, it has a superficial root. So that poor guy next door that's been pulling it up for years, he's been help spreading it. Okay, we're going to talk about killing this. You can only kill this when it's actively growing. And the chemicals used to control this are, without a doubt, not cheap.
I lied to you. Took a picture of it.
Uh-oh, okay. Pass that around. Well, you know what it looks like. You gave it to me. Not a problem. Okay, so the sample on the crabgrass disappeared. It must be that kind of night. But get a good look because it's a big, big difference between the two. Wiregrass and Bermuda grass can and will break through blacktop. Okay, that's how durable and thick it is. Your pen? Okay, all right, very good. All right, are there any questions so far? Seeing none, we're going to move on. Yes, ma'am, you in the back. I'm sorry? No, not at all, not at all, not at all. Because of the dimension and its strength, and even the cord, we've gone backwards a little bit, okay? No, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. So dimension allows you to apply it later, and you're even though it's been topsy-turvy, you're more than fine. Yes, sir. Yes. Well, more than likely, if we stay with this topsy-turvy pattern, the question was, University of Maryland, I mentioned that the University of Maryland recommended a possible second application. The answer to that question is he's already applied one. Will he have to apply another? To play it safe, if we go through a wet, if it continues to be wet and we're washing that barrier away, to play it safe, the answer will be yes. Oh no, I would give it some time. I would get into April, and no later than late May. Yes, ma'am.
Can you take that wiregrass and spray one of those weed killers on it?
Yes.
Then you can plant grass seed within a few weeks after that?
Okay, so typically the question was, can the wiregrass be killed and then you plant grass? Wiregrass is just like crabgrass in the sense that it can only be killed, well, crabgrass can be prevented before it turns green, but both of them can only be killed. There is no wiregrass preventer. Wiregrass can only be killed when it's actively growing. Now, as a whole, we say around tax time for you to go out, middle of April. Who knows when it's going to be now? I got to watch my timeline because nothing's the same. We saw grubs the other day. I've been doing this nearly 30 years. I've never seen a grub before April in my life. I asked if they were in house plants or greenhouses. This was right out of the lawn. I've never seen grubs in the end of February. So go figure. We could spend all night talking about why. But you can only kill wiregrass when it's actively growing. It produces a kind of a mint green, and that's coming from a guy that's colorblind, but a very different shade of green, fairly easy to spot. This pint right here is enough to do the size of the store. It comes with a surfactant. This is a spreader sticker. This makes it lock on to the weed and energizes the chemical so it doesn't wash off. One of the tricks of the trade, if you have a problem with wiregrass, is to go out and spray it a couple days earlier with soapy dishwashing detergent. So just like you would be washing dishes, a couple squirts in a pump sprayer with regular, room temperature water, spray it a couple days in advance when it's actively growing. It will reduce that defensive mechanism that it has. If you look at wiregrass, it's real shiny, and that will reduce that armor that it has. Then when you hit it with this, you're going to knock it out. Now, as much as most people hate wiregrass, they have a tendency to say, I read the directions, and the directions in this package is like a road map, okay? And I'll explain why in a minute. But typically, as a whole, it's 1.5 caps of the large cap and 1 cap of the small mixed together in 1 gallon of water. But they hate wiregrass so much, they go, yep, okay, that's it. Oh, all right, I got it this time, right? Then what happens? Oh, gee, it turns 85 degrees. They come in, Corey, that stuff you sold me burnt up my lawn. No, it didn't. You burnt up your lawn because you hate wiregrass. It does happen. Now, when you look at your lawn and you have to make a decision, okay? How much of your lawn is damaged? If there's large patches of crab and wiregrass, they're going to be very tough to control overall. You can kill crab and you can kill wiregrass with that dirty R word, Roundup, okay? But keep in mind, Roundup kills all it touches. It will take multiple sprays to kill Bermuda grass, wiregrass. If you follow the instructions and you're living a good life and you're blessed, you will have an 80% kill on your first try, okay? That's catching it early, following the instructions, and having the proper weather. Now, if you say, oh, that Ornamec's great, it's pricey, I think the quarts are like $89 or something, you go, I'm not going that route. I just can't go that route. Then these guys, the same people that make aspirin and Bayer, very smart group, have come up with a Crabgrass Control. All right? Control. Not so much a killer per se, but multiple sprays, you'll get a killer. Okay? This is widely used for, let's just say I had a neighbor, and I do have one, and they don't take care of their yard. If I saw that wiregrass encroaching my way, you can actually spray your lawn with this product and keep their wiregrass in check. Okay, so that's where it's a control. One thing unique, going back to the Ornamec has a term called over the top. Over the top means that you can spray this in landscape too. Wiregrass loves to get wrapped up in azaleas and things like that. If you follow the instructions and you see your plant material on that list, it is safe to spray landscaping as well, not just turf. Alrighty?
So what's the price of that?
This is $55 a pint, but it's enough to do an area the size of the store, and you would not, on a normal year, you wouldn't even consider spraying it till about the middle of April. Yes, ma'am.
When you apply something like that, is it susceptible to rain?
Well, that's what the spreader sticker's for. That helps with that. Typically, when you spray, you want to keep under 80 degrees for most sprays. A chemical like this is 60 and above, so you want it in that 60 to 80 range, and you want as much dry weather as possible. You'll see 24-hour rainproof, things like that. That's a fact. But the longer it stays on there, the longer it stays dry, and the longer that sun heats that chemical up, the more effect you'll have. Yes,
How
ma'am.
many times do you have to spray with that to basically kill?
Well, you'd be awful lucky if you did it once. The question was, how many times do you have to spray Ornamac? It depends on your infestation of wiregrass, how thorough you are, the weather. It's going to be a minimum of 2. I've never known anyone to kill it all because it hides from you. So I've never known anybody kill it in one shot. But you can and you should expect an 80% kill on your first try. Pardon me?
What's the shelf life?
Shelf life on most chemicals are much longer than you think. You just have to keep everything like you would a box of crackers. You keep them dry, you keep them cool, and you don't let them freeze, and you'll be fine. When you put chemicals in the garage and they go hot, cold, that's one thing. Grass seed the same way. When you put them out in that shed, you might as well forget about them, because that deep freeze and that 95-degree sun cooking up in that metal shed, you're going to lose the effectiveness. So kept, consistent, not like you need to set them in your living room, but kept in a garage where you're not going, just the spectrum of 60-degree difference. It's staying as consistent as possible. The chemicals can last you a long time. Very few chemicals that you mix will have a shelf life in that sprayer, okay? These guys are designed to stay in there. They're not mixed with water. They're shielded from the sun. But you mix it up in your pump sprayer, you typically do not have a long time to keep that. And number 2, keeping chemicals in a pump sprayer, you're going to end up killing your pump sprayer. They're chemical resistant, but they're not designed to hold chemicals for long periods of time. Yeah, a week, 2 weeks tops. Yeah, just depending on the chemical and what you're using it for.